Yeah, so I did rip that comic and it felt good. I enjoyed ripping it, but I ripped it off camera because I'm not trying to make that be part of my channel, because I'm not trying to copy anybody. I'm trying to do what I do, and normally I just kind of throw them in the recycling and go about my business. But yeah, that one I just could not keep around at all. So I ripped it up. Then I kind of got into my day of looking up at things and figuring out what I was going to do for videos today. And I have another video planned. So today might actually be a 3-video day, which is kind of interesting. But I want to talk a bit about having maybe a limited character palette, because I was trying to read this one project, but there's just so many characters and characters that are similar to each other that it just made it really hard to want to read it. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. So I had to stop, and it got me to thinking about that for a video. And then I also, of course, I've taken to looking up the news that's going on around. And one of the things that I was looking up, of course, was the Iowa caucus. And I'm not surprised that there's drama on it. And if I could be honest, I have a feeling that the inconsistencies is probably, due to the fact that the candidate that they want to win didn't win. And so now they're trying to play the game that they always play, which is how much can we fudge the numbers so we can get, all the delegates to the candidate that we want to give it to, instead of giving it to the one who actually won, because they did it in 2016 to Bernie Sanders, and I'm sure they're going to try to do it again. But I don't really vote. I don't really vote Democrat anymore, so it has nothing to do with me. I just find it interesting because, I do find it interesting because I've developed a kind of interest in looking at politics, because I don't just vote either Democrat or Republican. It's kind of nice being an outsider and just looking at the mess going on around you. Then there was also this. Now, I've kind of talked about it before, and I've done little rants and things like that. And, I've mentioned that I'm just so tired of this subject. And I know it's going to keep coming up, because as long as virtue signaling is rewarded, and as long as it is a thing, and as long as progressives and leftists are in control of things, it will always be a thing, because they will never let it go. This will keep coming back around and around and around again. And this makes me think, there was a book that was written by a Black guy, and essentially it was a book to white liberals and white progressives, basically saying, stop helping Black people. And I'm with him. Stop. At this point, stop, because you're not helping, you're not being honest, and it's certainly getting on my nerves, but it's getting on a lot of Black people's nerves. And it's funny, because in this, and in his speech, there's one point where, Joaquin Phoenix says, I don't think anybody wants a handout or preferential treatment, although that's what we give ourselves every year. It's stupid, because here's the thing. It's the irony, because when you're sitting there and you're trying to say, give more to Black people, give more to people of color, give more to minorities, however you want to word it, you're literally giving us handouts and preferential treatment. And you're saying that we can't earn it on our own unless white people give it to us. It's why I've had a problem with a lot of the race bending and gender bending of certain superheroes, because it's that giving you a handout, giving you a preferential treatment. It's telling you that you need us to fight for you. You need us to do this for you. And like, it's funny because yesterday I was watching the Steve Deace show. And one of the things he said is really true. Like, you listen to a lot of these, especially these young leftists and whatnot, their attitude is that they are blacker than you are. They are, like, the more woke you get, the more you have this attitude of you are more than anybody else. We are kinder than anybody else, even though their actions speak louder than words that say that they're not. Like, they tend to go after people like me who don't agree with them, harder because, well, you're black and you're a woman, you're supposed to just automatically agree with us. And so they come with this attitude of, well, I'm blacker than you are. I'm more of a woman than you are. Let me tell you how you're supposed to behave. They do it too for, like, if you're part of the LGBT community and you don't agree with their agenda. And I've seen it. There's Chad Felix on Twitter. There's a few other, like, they're more conservative. They're conservative gays, and like the kind of vitriol and attitude that they get from people who supposedly are in their own community is terrible, because that attitude of, it is this attitude of this handouts and preferential treatment. We're supposed to be thankful that white people like Joaquin Phoenix are telling us you should be given more. We're supposed to be grateful that every virtue signaling, comic company, Hollywood company, business like Google and YouTube and all of them, like, we're supposed to just be so grateful that they're fighting for us, that we're never supposed to say anything. And it's disingenuous. It is so disingenuous. And it is like it's coming to the point where I hate certain words when I see them. And systematic racism is one of them, because let me just be honest, most of the time where progressivism rules the day, that's where you see all this systemic racism. That's where you see all these things that they keep complaining about and saying, we need to fight against it. Yeah, these are mostly systems that they create. And then they tell us, well, you need us to fight for you, which I still say, to have white people come to me and tell me that I need to be quiet and just let them fight for me, I find that very racist. I do, because you're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about because you're more educated than I am. And you're telling me I'm not supposed to strive to want to improve myself because, well, I'll never get anywhere unless I allow them to fight for me, or I allow them to give me things. And it's becoming a huge, huge problem. Such a huge problem. It's not even funny. And of course, Ricky Gervais had to weigh in. And I really wish that more people would just weigh in, because it's like, if you really felt this way, like I said, and the Steve Deace show has pointed this out a lot of times, if they really felt this way, here's what they would do. You wouldn't accept the award. You wouldn't come to the award show. You wouldn't get dressed up and you wouldn't attend. Because if you really felt like there were better actors than you that were people of color that deserved the award, you wouldn't accept the award. But they don't believe what they're saying. It's the same thing of when they talk about more diversity in jobs. Well, if you really felt that way, then why don't you give your job up to a person of color? But they won't do it because they don't actually believe what they're saying. It's virtue signaling. It's about having power and control. It's about making other people do what they want them to do and them not having to do it themselves. And I'm tired of that particular kind of selfishness. I'm really tired of that. So I am pretty much taking the point that I'm like ready to just keep calling this kind of stuff out because I feel like it needs to be said, because the more, and I do believe the more that regular people talk about this stuff, and it does have to be regular people, the more that regular people begin waking up and paying attention, I think the less they'll be able to get away with stuff. Because it's even like with the news that was mostly that, like a bunch of videos were made yesterday about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, because that's another thing, that whole Me Too thing where you had a lot of people who just got to destroy the lives of men and the men didn't even do anything. And you had people who, just like you had something that made, that was supposed to empower women to speak up about the things that were done against them. And those kind of movements never end up being empowering because women who are actually victims don't actually get their voices heard. Men who are actually victims don't really get their voices heard because you have the people who want attention. And all of this is really just about them getting attention. For Joaquin Phoenix, it's attention for him to sit there. Now, I know he probably really believes this stuff to the extent that he wants to keep talking about it, but you don't really believe in it because you're not putting your money where your mouth is, kind of thing. And I will maintain that you're willing to get arrested because climate change, but you're not willing to not get up and accept an award. That's virtue signaling all day, every day. And that's what I'm going to maintain. So that's all I have for this video. I'm really sick of this. And I know I mentioned the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. A lot of that stuff goes on all the time. And it's really a sad thing because men really get the raw end of the deal in things like this because women, they want it both ways. And it makes it hard for women like me who look at it and say, hey, I'm just a regular girl who's just living my life. And, I'm not trying to be crazy. And then you have all these, crazies out there who just do whatever they want. And then just it's a mess. I'm not even talking about it. But yeah, bad people doing bad things and most of them being virtue signalers is not really a surprise to me because that's what they do. And it is. The more progressive a company or an organization or whatever it is, the more you tend to find stuff like this. That's why I'm not surprised every time a scandal comes out about a college campus. That's why I'm not surprised, when bad things come out about Google and YouTube and all of that. Not surprised because anywhere stuff like that happens. Yesterday, I watched a little bit, and I know I said I was going to be done, but yesterday I watched a little bit of the live stream from that umbrella guy and what he was showing about what's going on Twitter. It is absolutely disgusting, but it's not surprising because, virtue signalers don't actually care about they don't actually care about things. They don't actually care about the safety of others. They don't actually care about, protecting anyone. They just care about talking about it. They just care about getting power and influence. They just care about, making everyone do what they want them to do. Like, none of this is about actually helping people. And now I'm really done. So if you like this, click the like button, click the subscribe button, bell for notifications, share, do all of that. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.